Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to chat about a recent article that NerdWallet put out on a survey they did regarding the obstacles that people are facing this year in regards to home ownership.
So we're going to start by going through the survey results, and then we'll go back and elaborate on our experiences or things we've seen in our local market regarding the topics.
Yep, so to begin, these are the results for the survey. It's titled, "Which of the following are preventing you from pursuing home ownership at this time?" So I'm just going to read that list for you real quick. So this is from highest percentage to lowest percentage of respondents. So I don't have enough saved up for a down payment was 34%, low income 31%, my credit score was 30%, the current economic climate was 28% of respondents, lack of available homes within my budget, it comes in at 27%, mortgage rates are too high at 23%, a lack of available homes in the area I want to live, that came in at 23%, the housing market is too competitive in my area, that came in at 20%, the amount of debt I currently have is causing a problem at 20%, lack of affordable homes near my job came in at 17%. The pandemic that happened, that came in at 15%. I believe it's more affordable to rent than buy. We had 10% of people come in with that response. Lack of available homes within my preferred school district was at 10%. And then home ownership is no longer a priority, was at 9%. Other and none came in at 4 and 5% respectively. And then just an NA column that I don't want to purchase a home at this time was around 30%. So then Emily's gonna follow up with the next part of the survey.
So this part of the survey is, which of the following are you using or planning to use to make home buying more affordable? Same format, highest to lowest percentage. Increasing the amount saved for a down payment was 42%. Moving to a more affordable area came in at 38%. Waiting for mortgage rates to fall, 37%. Buying a smaller home, 26%. Buying a property that serves as a home and an income stream was 25%. Considering a longer term mortgage over 30 years was 20%. Receiving financial gifts from friends or family, 18%. Using a mortgage rate buy-down was 16%. Getting an adjustable rate mortgage was 14%. Borrowing money from friends and family was 13%. And then other and none were 4 and 7%.
Yeah, so now we're just going to touch on some of these topics and elaborate on them a little bit more. Obviously, the first three we touch on, we're going to kind of go into a little bit more detail because they're the ones impacting the most people pursuing home ownership. And those are kind of what you expected as far as down payment issues, income issues, credit score issues. These are all our financing things, right? These are the things that it takes to be able to qualify to purchase a home through whatever company you're using to finance your loan. Most of us just cannot throw down hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, especially as first-time home buyers, to purchase. So sometimes if we have a home that we're selling and we have a lot of equity in it, maybe we're downsizing or moving to a more affordable area, we can sell that property and use the cash from that to put down on a home, and now the financing is not so much of an issue. But we're speaking with most average Americans here in regards to this survey. And so the financing part is one of the most critical parts of becoming a homeowner. And so the first one with the down payment, 34%. So over a third of people are saying that that's their big hang up on pursuing home ownership. And that's a massive part of it. And I think that's where a lot of people get their thoughts tangled up in, is I have to have X amount of money to afford, and so if I don't have that money, it's not even worth looking into. what are your thoughts? Where would you start advising people as far as the down payment goes?
As far as a down payment, I think the first piece is to talk to a loan officer. They know the most about all the financing. They know everything that goes into it. They can tell you what percentage you need or what amount you need. A lot of people have that 20% stuck in their head. You don't have to have 20% down to be able to purchase a home. You can do 5%, even some as low as 3.5%. They do even have zero down options. They do have a little bit higher interest rate, but you don't have to bring that cash to get into the home at first, and then you can refinance out of things later and not have that extra interest rate hit.
I think one of the biggest things we see with some of the people we work with, and going back to the results on how people are trying to make homeownership attainable, that 42% of people saying that I'm currently saving for a down payment. Well, affordability is rough on everything right now. It's not just buying homes, it's groceries, it's activities, it's lifestyle, it's anything and everything you can think of, utilities, internet, phone costs. Everything's expensive right now due to that, our inflation over the past couple of years and whatnot. And so saving for a down payment becomes extremely difficult, where a lot of us are just getting by to the end of the month. Putting $50 away in a savings account is great. We want to save, but that's going to take you beyond insurmountable amount of years to save for a down payment if that's all you can put away each month. And so looking into some of these lower down options, while it might be a little bit more of an interest hit up front, maybe something you want to look into, because the earlier you can get into the home ownership game, the quicker you can start participating in the equity gains over the years. And a lot of times the equity gains will out earn the average person's ability to save. And so as home prices keep going up, due to all types of factors, and we're seeing even with high interest rates, home prices are starting to go up again because of supply and demand. The inventory shortage across the country, and specifically in Utah, is really bad. And so we're already seeing prices go back up again, after a short dip. And, as soon as they're going up, you're losing out on equity gains. And unless you're saving thousands of dollars a month, you may be earning a lot more in equity if you just got in with maybe a less great loan program as far as an interest rate goes or a fee structure goes. And you can make that up on the back end. So
it's really hard to outsave the inflation and the rising home prices. Sometimes it's easier to just get your foot in the door and then take advantage of other things once you're already in the home.
Yep. When we bought our first home, that's exactly what we had to do. We did a zero down option. We had a second mortgage to cover the down payment and the closing costs and all that type of stuff. We were very young, and up front, it's kind of scary. You have multiple mortgages down, and you have to take care of a few extra payments. Your interest rate's not as good as it could be, and then you go from there. But through the equity gains, we were able to refinance out of ours within a couple of years. You close out that second mortgage, and you go into a more conventional loan that is more preferable for the long term. And most of the time it tends to work out really well. So those are some things to consider when it comes to down payment. Is you don't have to have 10%, 20%, 15% down. Now, is that ideal, and is that going to make your loan structure better? 100%. But
it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement
be able to get a loan.
And depending on the area you live, the situation you're in, and what your next few years look like as far as employment and residency, then maybe getting in is going to be a smarter option. So that's why it's just important to get out and start talking to people about your options. So
there also are grant programs for down payments, depending on your job sometimes, the city you're looking to live in. It can be either a grant you don't have to pay back at all, or they loan it to you up front and you pay minimal payments back for so many years, but it helps you get into it. And a loan officer is going to know the best ones around too. for your local area you're looking in.
Yep, so just things to consider. Moving on, low income, that's a difficult one to deal with. We all are trying to improve our income generating streams and make more money, and sometimes that's tough, whether it's time constraints, job constraints, whatever it is. If you're in a position where you can bring in more income, then that's going to help you, obviously. If you're not in a position to really do that, you may be in school, you may be in a career that you have to put your time in before you get promotions and stuff like that, then maybe you need to start looking at more affordable areas or
more affordable price
points, reality of what you're looking for as far as home ownership goes. So, not as much to say on that. It's just sometimes when our income level is at a certain point, we have to have a reality check as far as what we want and what we desire, or what our future goals are, to either improve that income level or to look at something that fits within that income limitation. So
another thing with that, though, is your first house you're getting into doesn't necessarily mean it's your end house.
No.
A lot of people don't end up in their first house, and their first house isn't anywhere near their dream house.
Yeah.
But you can get in and start building that equity and then use that to move up in a few years.
Yeah, as you gain more income and move forward in your life goals. So credit score. Credit score is a big one. The better your credit, the better your interest rate's going to be, the cheaper your mortgage is going to be for a certain price point. And so the better your credit, just the better overall. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in the short term to improve your credit. We're not credit experts, but we do have contacts to people, and that's what we advise. If this is what's preventing you from purchasing a home or becoming a homeowner, then get your credit in check. Reach out to the people that can help you repair your credit, get specific debts paid off, and how to use your debt to income ratio properly as far as getting that repaired, because you may have a credit limit and you may be using a lot of that limit, and that's hurting your credit. If you can get it down to a certain point or spread it out over different things, that may help. But that's where a credit repair specialist comes in. And a lot of your loan officers and mortgage companies are going to have either somebody in-house that does a lot of that type of stuff, or a specific person that they refer you out to that they work with a lot. So start working on it today if credit is an issue. I mean, sometimes it can be, relatively quick with a few fixes over a course of a few months. A lot of it takes a year or more, to get repaired. So,
but if you can get started now, you're that much closer to being ready. And some people don't realize that you don't always have to pay all of your debt off to fix your credit. It's not always a matter of paying everything off and having zero debt. There are ways that you can structure it or make payments and things that can help improve it without having to pay all of that down.
Yeah, a lot of it is just getting your credit situation into a healthier standpoint, not having no debt. So, current economic climate, we don't have a lot to say on that. It's tough right now. We get it. It's tough for us. I think it's tough for everybody, no matter where you're at in life. The biggest thing is that none of us can predict the future. People throw out their ideas of what's coming and what's next, or when it will be better or when it won't, but it can turn on a dime, just like, it turned on a dime last summer as far as the economy was looking good, and then inflation reports come out and it just drops off a cliff. And so it's hard to plan. And so whenever you got to take advantage, no matter whatever the current economic climate is. So it's difficult. I don't have a crystal ball or a magic answer on that one, as far as just trying to do the best you can within whatever climate it is when you're watching this.
And if you're waiting for the perfect climate for the economy, it may never come, and you're waiting forever.
It just, it never happens the way we want it to.
Yeah.
So,
lack of homes within your budget. Sometimes that comes down to an area preference, that you just want to live in an area that's kind of expensive. Maybe you can look a little bit outside of that area, and then you can find things in your budget. expectations versus reality. It comes into that again, your first house, maybe even your second house isn't your dream home, but you're making steps towards being able to get to that point someday.
Yeah. And that's most places in the country right now, and us in Utah specifically, there's a lot of low inventory areas. And so you have to be prepared. And if you're really wanting a specific area, whether it's to be close to jobs, schools, family, friends, whatever your reason is for a desired area, you have to be ready to go if it's a low inventory market, because the good stuff, it goes quick, and if something pops into your price range, you want to be ready to act. So, and there's just going to be certain states you live in or certain cities you live in that may just be out of your budget, and you have to come to terms with that. You may not be able to afford to live there right now. I know there's a lot of places that we can't afford to live that we would love to live. It's just not reality at the moment. So, that kind of ties in with a couple of those ones as far as, homes within school area, homes within work area, the percentages talked about. So we just kind of threw that all together as far as, if there's not something available in that area and you really want to become a homeowner, then you just have to be open to looking at other places, sacrificing and getting into the game per se. So
where's your second choice? Maybe not your first choice right now.
Exactly. So mortgage rates. Okay.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Right. They've been volatile for almost a year now. That's been the hardest part, is that we had extremely low mortgage rates for a couple of years. Everybody got used to that. They were qualifying for a lot. They were qualifying easier. It made a very competitive buying market, but at least people were qualifying. Now, people are having difficulty qualifying for mortgage rates, and just they're unpredictable lately. And so it's tough.
Yeah. They're much higher than they were for those couple of years, which is hard. They didn't go up a little bit, they went up a lot.
And not slowly. It was fast. And then they've been bouncing from 7% into the 5s, into the 6s. That's hard to plan for. And if you qualify at 6% and then next week's it's at 6.5, you may not qualify anymore, and that's difficult. And that's just another reason why to have everything in line, because if the mortgage rates fall into an area that you qualify for and you can lock it in and you can get into that house, and then in the years to come, as mortgage rates settle down, as the economy gets a little bit more stable, then you can refinance into a better loan program. It doesn't matter what loan you get. The first few years are all interest, basically. You're paying some principal off, but you just gotta bite the bullet and understand that those first few years are majority interest payments. And so whether it's a great interest rate or not, you're not really hitting that principal too much yet. So if you have to get in now and get a better loan program in a year or two, it's not doing too much damage. You're gaining the equity on the back end. So
you're not set back too much.
So mortgage rates, they're tough right now. We're not going to sugarcoat that, but there's ways to mitigate those. And some of those are maybe doing rate buy downs, having sellers pay concessions to help with those rate buy downs, adjustable rate mortgages. I know that scares a lot of people, but there's some great adjustable rate products out there now that give you, 5, 7, 10 years of a fixed rate. It would be crazy if in 10 years we don't have a better rate that you can refinance to on a fixed rate. So some of those products may be something to look into as to help with affordability. And there's just so many different loan programs. I think people think there's conventional, there's FHA, and there's VA, and there's those are just kind of within all of those. There's different loan programs, and there's different loan programs for different areas and different states and different cities and counties. And there's, that's why having a very good loan officer is important, because they will get this specific deal that's going to be best for your current situation.
Yeah.
So,
we kind of talked about the housing market being competitive. Unfortunately, it's like that all over the country. comes into planning and being ready to move when it works out for your situation.
For Utah specifically, you saw about a 3-month period from maybe October, November, December of 2022 where the competitiveness died down a bit and you were really able to negotiate pretty hard as a buyer and not have to deal with multiple offers. But in Utah now, we're already seeing multiple offers. Any well-priced home that's well taken care of or updated that's priced right is going under contract fast now with competition. Sellers, aren't having to give up much anymore. And I mean, obviously that depends on the house, the area, and the price point, but competition's already back, and it makes it difficult. So like Emily said, be prepared. And so most of us, I think a lot of people, when they think about home ownership, is that you can just be ready. Like, oh, I have a lease coming up, I'm going to look at buying a home. A lot of times it takes a while to just be in a good position to purchase. And so it's something, if it's a goal of yours, you actually have to make it a goal and set steps in place to get prepared, because you may not be ready today, but maybe if you get working on it, you can be ready in 6 months or a year. And with that, I would say don't go it alone. Find a real estate agent and a loan officer that's going to coach you through that entire process and not just work with you when you're ready.
That's someone who will help you build a plan so you know exactly what you need to do to get ready, rather than hoping you're ready by the time you want to buy a house.
Yeah, and that's something we love to do. So if you need that time, give us a call. We know a lot of people that just want you ready and they're not really in it for the long haul, so we love the long-term projects, and they can be tough, they can be difficult, but at the end of it, they're the best deals because people have worked so hard to get to that point. So find somebody like that in your area that can really help you. Amount of debt. I mean, what is there to say? If you have a lot of debt, whether it's credit card, cars, what do you got to do?
Pay it off.
Yep, unfortunately, you got to pay it off, right? I mean, pay it off or get it lower, wrap it into a single debt source, consolidate it. Again, this is where the financial experts are going to be so valuable, whether it's a loan officer or other financial resource that you have or request access to get referred to. These are big things that can really change your scenario. If you have 2 cars and 3 credit cards and a student loan all wrapped up separately, your DTI is going to be really high because you're going to have individual minimum payments per month that you have to make on each of those. Where if you can figure out
how to consolidate it
into 1 or 2 payments, consolidate all your credit cards down, bring your auto loans down into one thing somehow. There's strategies to do all this stuff. That's outside of our realm of expertise, but we have worked with people that do that for our clients, and it gets your DTI into an acceptable range. It helps bring down your monthly payment burdens, and things like that. So I think debt is something we all struggle with from time to time, and life calls, a car breaks down and you have to buy a new one. You weren't planning on having a car payment. We get it. It's happened to us. You have a credit card. It's there for emergencies. Well, guess what? Inflation. You didn't get paid 1 month.
Sick.
Your kid, is in the hospital. Whatever it is, that credit card goes up, so we understand that. But there's definitely ways to start working towards getting that stuff down.
Pandemic.
Yeah, pandemic.
Threw us all for a loop in one way or another.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're semi-normal.
Yeah, I think different areas have had different responses.
Yeah.
We can only speak on our experience in Utah, but it's pretty much back to beforehand. We're not having to do anything crazy that way. But if you owned a business during the pandemic and it you had to shut it down or you lost a job or anything, you may still be reeling from that, and that's difficult, So on this topic, all we can say is, we wish you the best, and, we hope you can do whatever you can to continue rebuilding from that, because we know it did destroy a lot of people's financial situations, which is tough. So luckily from this survey, about 15% of people said it was still hurting them. That's still a lot of people, unfortunately. So just keep working on it right there. So it's tough to overcome. But a 10% one, I believe it's more affordable to rent than buy. It definitely could be in the current climate.
Some areas or some situations, it doesn't make sense for you to buy a home, and you shouldn't buy a home right now, and renting is your better option.
So you have to know where you live, what your local market is like, and what the future holds for you. Yeah. So those are all decisions or topics of consideration when you're making a decision like purchasing a home. Sometimes it's just not the right decision to buy, and renting is better. Other times you're crazy to rent, and you should be buying. But that's all situation specific, person specific, area specific. And so in your area, renting may be the smart move right now.
If you're not sure if renting is better than buying for you, reach out to us. Love to help you sit down, pull some numbers, see what makes more sense for your situation.
And just find somebody you can trust. We have several clients on longer term plans that we help go into rentals currently in more preparation to buy when it works better for them in their area, or when their career status gets worked out better, or if you're a student right now and you're going to be moving, credit repair, whatever it is. Typically, in a stable housing market and stable economy, if you're not going to stay in a place for more than 3 or 4 years, then renting's usually better, because you need that time to have a positive wealth on the back end. What the fees that come with selling and whatnot. So not a wrong answer if you feel like renting's better right now. I would just say run the numbers and make sure you're confident in that answer right now, because a lot of people, we do work with people as well that think renting is better right now, and once we run their numbers and what their plan is for the future, then what they really should be doing is working on purchasing, because it works so much better for their plan. So homeownership's not a priority, or the NA, I don't want to purchase a home at this time. Great. when you're ready, start looking into this stuff. I would just add to it though, that even if it's not a priority to you, or you're not looking to purchase right now, then just keep all this stuff in order. You should always be working on improving your credit and getting it better, because it doesn't affect just home ownership. It affects everything. It affects,
car loans,
credit cards, car loans, renting, when they run your credit report. Landlords want credit-worthy renters. They don't want to be chasing people around not paying rent. So
they charge you more.
Or they charge you more. Exactly.
Credit.
So there's just all this stuff. You may not be wanting to purchase right now, but
some of it still applies to you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you get married in a couple of years and have a kid, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm sick of living in an apartment with a family and I'm ready to buy, but you don't have your down payment set up because you haven't been working towards it, So just think for the future, and just start preparing. If you're doing it a little bit at a time, it seems less impossible. So we worked with a lot of people that feel like they have no chance, and then after a few months, or 6 months or a year of some diligent, consistent work, they're in a place and they're so much happier. So any closing thoughts on this?
No, I think we kind of covered it all.
There's a lot of obstacles, whether your income's great, your credit's great, you got a down payment, there's so many obstacles still to overcome, and so homeownership is not easy. And I hate those people that go around and be like, oh yeah, just do it. You know, we understand it's hard, but there are ways to do it. And, you know, if that's a goal of yours, like we've talked about, it's not a goal for everybody, but if it is, then just start working on it and reach out to the people that can help you.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to us ramble a little bit, but those are some of the obstacles, you know, from NerdWallet's recent survey. So we'll put the article link in the description if you want to read it for yourself. There's some other things that go into the study in the article. We just didn't cover them right now. But yeah, there's always going to be obstacles, but obstacles that can be overcome. And if that's your goal, we're happy to help. Even if you're not in Utah and we can't help you personally, but you just want to send a message and ask some questions, shoot them over. We'll message you back with some of our advice or experience in the realm and go from there. So
yeah. In the comments too, if you have any different experiences or if you feel like the same, let us know what you guys think about the survey and kind of what home ownership looks like
in your area. Yeah. Right? So we know Utah really well. So outside of Utah, like we read things, we see things, but we're not in the mud and the dirt and getting, you know, into it. So, but thanks for watching if you watched the whole way, and, you know, be sure to
tune in next time.
Subscribe. It really helps. So, and have a good one.